Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Hatred destroys the one who hates. The others that you hated go on about their business. Care of us.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar is right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more. Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing and me and Java Chapman and all the folks here at MPB, we welcome you. Let's talk about gardening for the next hour or so. And if you got anything on your mind, it is a live, toll-free program. Good morning, Java.
Good morning, Felder. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I got to tell you, you usually wear a hat, and if any day you need a hat, it's today. What did you do to your head?
Yeah, that's funny. I do wear a hat. I guess often enough where when I don't have one on, it's like, who is that guy?
There's nothing to hold your hat on up there now.
Yeah, no, I went for the clean Michael Jordan, the fresh baldy, as they say.
It is so funny because as much as everybody talks about things everybody has in common, we don't have the hair thing in common.
No, not at all.
But this is a style thing.
Yeah, yours touches your shoulder, and if I did let my hair grow out, my hairline would be like back in the middle part of my head.
Man, see, I came up through the 60s and 70s, and I can imagine all sorts of things on Java's head. You doing all right though? You and Crystal still gardening out in the backyard?
Not so much now. Our schedules are so crazy. I mean, we still have. It's funny how things just kind of survive.
It's called life, yeah.
Yeah, we still.
You talking about in the garden?
In the garden, yeah. Our basil is still available. So every so often when we're cooking, I mean, it was just maybe last week, cooking some spaghetti or something, and Crystal was like, "Hey, Marley, I need you to go outside and get 5 basils."
Wow, that's okay. Do y'all have oregano?
I don't think we have oregano.
Okay, we're gonna work on that because oregano is all year long.
Yeah,
and it spreads. As a matter of fact, that I put in the back of my truck. I got a little garden in the back of the truck. I plant on one end, and it's moved almost all the way across to the other end. And what I'm gonna do is the stuff is pushing out on the other end. I'm gonna dig up the original oregano and plant stuff. So the oregano is moving back and forth across my truck bed.
Okay.
A season at a time. But it's a great, an oregano is a great one for kids to grow because you don't have to wait for anything. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to make sunflowers or tomatoes and all. And it goes with pizza, with spaghetti. It goes with so many different kind of things. So that's a good way to introduce kids into culinary herbs that they don't have to wait for something and they can use it on things that they actually like.
That they eat, yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like beets. Who eats a beet? Come on. Ain't no kid's going to eat a beet on purpose. So anyway, for the next hour, we're just talking about gardening. There's been some interesting things that happened this past week, including a really, really hard freeze. And there's some strategies that people have done to get by it. And I tried some, and some of it worked.
One thing I did see during the freeze, it wasn't any covered plants, but I saw a couple houses with bushes, and I guess they just threw towels over the top of their bushes.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we'll get that in just a second. We got a call has come pouring in.
Okay, early caller.
We can go up to Oxford to Lafayette County. Hey, Bob, thank you for calling. What's up? Good morning.
Hello, Felder. I have a few months ago we bought a rose bush in a pot from a big box store, and it's doing quite well. We've repotted it into a larger pot. It's about like a 15-inch diameter pot, and it's growing like crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it probably needs to be trimmed back some.
Yeah, 15-inch pot is not very big for a rose, I tell you that. I mean, 2-3 feet is what we're talking about. You keeping it outside, of course.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any
We're
idea?
going to bring it in when it starts to get cold.
No. The roses will grow outside in Canada. They're not going to freeze outside. If anything, if it's going to be a hard freeze, just go out and water it before the freeze, because when the root ball freezes, it actually insulates roots. But any idea what is like a bush rose or a hybrid tea rose or one for cut flowers? What kind of rose bush it is?
No, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
All I can tell you, it's red. That's not going to do you much good, is it?
It may be one called Knockout, but there's a whole bunch of red roses. Anyway, to answer your question, it's a little bit late for pruning roses. If you prune them now, we have enough warm weather ahead of us in Mississippi to where they will sprout out new growth, but that new growth will be too tender to take a hard freeze. So what I would do is I would just sort of neaten it up a little bit as best you can, but let's wait until February to prune it, and you can prune it down to a foot and a half tall if you want to. They sprout out and they bloom on new growth, but most rose people prune their roses pretty hard in late January or February, and that way they're nice and neat and clean, and you don't run the risk of new growth coming out and being too tender for January.
Yeah. Well, it started out about a foot and a half tall, and it's about 3 feet tall right now.
Yeah, well, and that's not too big. As long as it's not getting in your way. If there's something that grabs, your pants leg every time, your trousers every time you go by, you can cut that off. Sort of like I told a women's group, I gave a talk in Terry yesterday. I said it's like plucking eyebrows. You leave the ones you want, and you cut off the ones that are in your way. But I'd wait till February to prune it, and you can prune it literally to a foot or foot and a half tall, and it'll bush out just fine.
Okay, and I can leave it outside.
Oh, yeah. Do you have anything on top of the dirt, like bark or anything like that?
I got some rocks because the squirrels are trying to get into it.
Perfect. Yeah, that as long as you mulch it, they'll do fine. But anyway, roses, I mean, they grow outside in Indiana, Michigan, Canada. Not a problem there.
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay, Bob. Hey, let me ask you this. Did I bail you out or something, or is this your question?
No, this is my question.
Oh, okay.
Well, my wife wants to know, too, because it's her rose, and she don't want anything to happen to it.
That's what I was getting at, brother. That's what I was getting at. Anyway, if she wants to bring it in, bring it in.
Okay.
See you, man.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Job, a lot of what I do is horticultural, a lot of it is gardening, but some of it is just plain old familial relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Therapy.
No, I knew exactly what you were getting at when you asked the question.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking earlier about the freeze, and I brought some pictures. And the first picture that I wanted, if you're on live stream, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not on live stream, sometime to get around to it, maybe now, it may be at 3 a.m. Your curry is acting up, you can't get sleep, whatever. Go to YouTube and type in the search box Gestalt Gardener or Mississippi Public Broadcasting, and you can see what I'm about to show. My picture number 1 is a picture of something happened to a neighbor's yard.
That is
Booglified.
Unattractive.
Booglified. They had some elephant ears, and when the freeze hits it, all the cell, individual cells in a leaf are mostly water. And in some kind of tropical plants, that water will freeze and the ice expands and it cracks open the cell wall. When it thaws, all the insides gush out, and it just looks flaccid.
Now, what's the remedy for these elephant ears?
Just cut them down. They'll come back next spring. I mean,
okay.
This particular plant is a neighbor's yard. It's been coming back for 10 years that I know of. So, it's like cannas or a whole lot of plants. They die on the ground, they come back up. But anyway, this is a plant that finally got frozen. And a roommate of mine in graduate school, who's a linguistics major, matter of fact, he retired as a language professor from university. I said, there's not a word that describes what happens when a plant freezes, thaws, and then just drips nasty green chlorophyll on the floor. There's not a word that, well, it froze, yeah, but it also thawed and all that. Anyway, he said, you can make a word up. And he said, you could call it booglify. His name is Clayton Allen, and Clayton Allen coined the word booglified. And as long as it's used, which on public broadcasting it's kind of used, it becomes an official word. So if your plants look like they're just dripping green, nasty stuff, they booglified.
Booglification.
Booglification, that's right. But anyway, let me show this next picture of another neighbor, picture number 2. This is what he did in his yard, is what you're saying that you saw in your neighborhood, where people take blankets and tarps and they cover everything in their yard. I mean, they just cover it, and it looks kind of goofy, but it looks, kind of horticultural too. He covered everything in his yard with blue and clear plastic tarps. And I'm thinking, well, the neighbors didn't. I didn't cover anything. Mine made it fine. But then let me show you the next picture of a few days later after he uncovered them, picture number 3, and it all made it through the winter, that freeze. It looks great. So covering plants up can help temporarily. If it gets down to upper 20s, no problem. It gets down to below 20, 25 or down to 20, covering really doesn't help. But he got another 3 or 4 weeks of nice, colorful flowers by just covering them up one night.
Yeah, and we don't have those long sustained, very rarely, those long sustained freezes.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, was one of the things people, I garden part of the year over in England, and they grow a lot of different kind of plants that can take 60 below zero that will freeze to death here in Mississippi because, in colder climates like Michigan or upstate New York, when it gets cold, it gradually gets cold and it stays cold. And plants, they harden off. It's an internal process. It actually developed like an antifreeze in the cells. But it only takes 2 weeks of warm weather for them to lose that antifreeze. And so if we have a week and a half of 70 degrees, 50, 60 degrees, our plants don't have that hardness. And a sudden freeze just down to the mid-20s can kill a plant that can take below zero normally. So it's that sudden hard freeze that gets our plants. So anyway, anybody want to give us a call? We've got the lines wide open. We're just talking about gardening. Me and Java and all the folks here at MPB, we really appreciate your tuning in and listening. And I want to mention that Abram and John C. are our live stream producers.
Back there doing the Lord's work.
That's right, that's right. And I've got a couple of plants, a couple of potted plants we can talk about when I come back. And if you're on live stream, you can see these. And if you're not, check it out sometime on YouTube. Anyway, horticulturalist Felder Rushing, me and Java Chapman, we got plenty of stuff to talk about, but this is your time. This is your time to talk with somebody about what's going on in your garden who understands because he gardens too. So we'll be back with more of the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting right after this.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is a brand new companion podcast to the MPB documentary Everlasting, the life and legacy of Medgar Evers. Join me, Rita Brent, as we dive deeper into the story with exclusive interviews and conversations about the enduring legacy of Medgar Evers. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast. Available on the MPB app or wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes every other week. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. And Java, I was just trying to Google us on YouTube. Yeah, to see if the program live streams. So I'm live streaming me live streaming. This is kind of freaky, But anyway, I went there, and if you type in MPB, mine calls up Mississippi Public Broadcasting, but because I've searched it, Mississippi Public Broadcasting, you might have to type in Mississippi Public Broadcasting.
Yeah, it's all about that algorithm and knowing it knows what you like. I will throw this little tip out though, but if you type in Mississippi Public Broadcasting or MPB, if you hit the little subscribe button, and then YouTube will know that, when you look for MPB or you type in Mississippi,
you get the real thing.
There you go.
All right, real thing. And by the way, I miss the good old days when I didn't know what stuff like algorithm. Now I find out algorithm is a thing.
Oh, a big thing, and everybody has their own algorithm. So somebody could be something really popular in one person's world. The other person will know nothing about it.
Every time I go on to look at reels on my phone, possum movies. People playing with their pet possums comes up. I get nothing but possums.
And that's your algorithm.
That's right. Possum is my algorithm. There's a T-shirt there. Hey, let's go down the Gulf Coast, down to Gulfport. Jacob, how you doing this morning? What's up, man?
Hey, good morning, Felder. How are you today?
So far, so good. Feeling great.
Oh yeah. Weather's nice. Had the freeze earlier this week.
Even on the coast, it froze on the coast too.
Yeah, I believe on the morning of the 11th, we had a record low here in Gulfport. I think measured at 28.
Wow. So much for the citrus. But anyway, what's going on today?
Well, I probably should have called maybe last week or a prior week, because I planted a tree yesterday, and I had been looking for something for the backyard. I planted a little gem magnolia, which was recommended to me. I purchased it and planted. But my question really is, I live in a relatively new development, that had a lot of probably backfill clay. And the hole that I dug, it seemed to be, except for the very top, just a lot of clay.
Yeah.
And I tried to add some compost, some mulch compost in when I planted. And I guess my question is, are there any watch outs that you can think of I need to pay attention to, or anything I need to do additionally there?
Yeah, a couple of things. When did you plant this? Just recently?
Yeah, actually just yesterday.
Okay. You're not going to like what I'm about to say, but it's good advice. You ready for this? I would gently dig it up. I would make the hole twice as big, okay, and stir all that stuff into all your stuff. It's not always a good idea to add a bunch of stuff to your dirt. If you dig a hole in clay, you're digging a clay pot. And if you fill it up with other stuff, think of a cereal bowl full of cornflakes. When it fills up, cornflakes go soggy. See, so it's better to not add that much stuff to your native dirt, mostly native dirt. What I do is I make the hole bigger. You may not even have to dig the tree up, but just go around with the shovel and make the hole bigger, and then add your native stuff to the stuff that you already added. So it's less cornflakes, okay? Oh, a better simile, chili and crackers. You don't want to dump the chili out and fill the bowl up with crackers. But if you add too many crackers, it ain't chili anymore. So anyway, think of that. And when you pulled it out of the pot, did you by any chance loosen any of the potting soil, or just stick it in the dirt?
I did a little bit of loosening.
Good.
By recommendation, but the tree, I think, is it's about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So that root ball was pretty tight, and I couldn't get a lot of it loosened up, but I did a little bit. Okay.
What I would do, and keep in mind, I have planted. I was raised on a tree nursery where we planted, we dug, we replanted all that stuff. And in my own yard, I would dig it back up, pull it up, and physically loosen up, even cut some of those roots in their tie. Because otherwise, they're shaped in they're growing in a circle, and as they get older, they get bigger around in diameter, and they will strangle themselves. So it's good to even cut a few of these roots. And it's okay this time of year because the plants don't need a lot of roots right now. And by spring, that hole will have a whole lot of side roots in it. So I dig it up, make the hole a little bit bigger, cut or loosen some of the roots, and then replant it. I really would.
Okay, I will do that. I appreciate the advice.
Well, let me ask you this. Why'd you go to Little Jim? What kind of tree did you want?
Well, I just wanted something, like I said, I'm in a development that, these developments, the houses are real close together, so I didn't want anything too big.
Yeah.
I wanted something that'd be pretty to look at.
Yeah.
And this one was recommended to me because they said it doesn't lose the leaves, and I know, magnolias are all pretty, but they drop a lot of leaves that are hard to deal with, so that's kind of where my thought process was.
Well, if you'll go ahead after you get through planting this and just pile a bunch of bark, not up on the trunk, but just make a ring of bark around it. And then when the magnolia leaves, next year as the new leaves come on, the ones that are on there now, they shed, just like pine tree. They shed their leaves a year later. And as they fall, just let the leaves be part of the mulch. Just call it part of the tree. You could plant a little monkey grass or something under there, but if you'll just go ahead and edge your hole so this nice and neat, distinct shape, then just rake the leaves up under the magnolia and let them be part of it.
Excellent.
Okay, one other thing. If you want to plant something that's going to give you some shade, that's going to grow tall and narrow without causing problems, think about our native bald cypress, plain old regular cypress tree. They grow straight. They don't take up a lot of footprint, and when they drop their leaves, it's real nice little feathery things on the ground. But bald cypress fits really, really well in a small lot. It grows straight.
That's good to know. I've got another place that I'd like to add something, so that I will put that one on the list.
Yeah, and it's a good compliment. You got the magnolia, kind of a ferny-looking leaves with the magnolia, which are dark and glossy. It's a nice little combination.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Felder.
All righty, you bet. Thanks for calling, Jacob. Okay, let's slide up to a little bit, about halfway up towards Jackson from the coast to Macomb. Shirley, what's going on in Pike County?
Son, lots of it today. Good. My question, getting to it, is I have a lot of irises, which bloom okay like they're supposed to, but both my sisters, one in Kentucky and one in Colorado, tell me I should be, this time of year, cutting the leaves, and I've never done that. Does it help it? And if so, how far back?
No, irises grow in cemeteries. Nobody cuts them there. So, I don't know why they'll cut. And by the way, irises are hardy. I've seen them growing, in cemeteries in Colorado, and they're not cut back. So, you don't have to cut them. The only really weird thing about irises, and I'm not big in a lot of horticultural rules, but irises like that rhizome, the little ropey-looking stem thing, it likes to be baking in the sun. Irises are one of the few plants that do not like to be mulched or planted deep. But I think the leaves are as pretty part of the plant, even when they don't flower. I love irises as a companion plant. No need to cut them. If they start looking ratty, you can cut them back in a little bit of a fan shape, but there's no need for it. If they look good, go with it.
Well, that's work I don't have to do. Thank you a lot.
You bet. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Ooh, short and sweet, Java.
It's funny you said rhizomes because we got a question from the YouTube. We can get to it a little bit later, but they mentioned rhizomes.
And you said that we had somebody who called about their coleus or wrote in about their coleus.
Yeah, there was another YouTube a YouTube question. They were saying, well, not much of a question, but a comment. It's Amanda. She said, "Good morning. The freeze killed my coleus, but that gives me an opportunity to plant pansies, snapdragons, and daffodil bulbs."
Yes. And did she say where she lives?
No, it doesn't say where she lives yet.
Because snapdragons are kind of iffy up in North Mississippi. They like cool weather. They don't like hot weather. They don't really like hard freezes. But snapdragon's a good one. But, if she's watching on a live stream, then she probably sees right here in front of me, I've got a pot that I just filled up yesterday, and I've got 4 plants in it. I've got 2 kinds of kale. I've got purple kale, and I've got this blue kale called lacinato, Tuscan blue. Some people call it dinosaur kale. I've got violas in it, the purple and yellow violas. I've got a marigold in there because this is a little culinary garden, a little elemental garden, and they'll die. But the kale is a striking plant, Kale. They got several different kinds. If you can find the one called lacinato, it is an incredible plant, and it'll take 10 below zero, but it's a good-looking plant, will not freeze, and she can strip the bottom leaves off and eat them, but that's a good tall plant. Daffodils are fine. I could stick a few little daffodils here or there in this pot, but as far as a good, bold, what we call a thriller plant, hard to beat kale. Hard to beat it.
And Amanda just chimed in. She's in Dexter in Walthall County.
Yeah, that's down in South Mississippi. The snapdragons you do find. There's tall snapdragon and short snapdragon, all different kinds. But snapdragons are great, but if she's on the live stream, she can see this kale. This kale will do great. As a matter of fact, let's we got some callers online, but let's go to picture number 5 that I put in. This is what this lacinato will look like later. And this plant will take the most incredible cold. It's a beautiful, I'm going to call that blue.
Yeah, no, that is a nice blue.
And it's just a stunning.
Bluish green.
Yes, it's just a stunning plant. But kale is a really good thriller. Really good thriller. I will mention this, though. Squirrels like to eat kale. And a matter of fact, I planted some. And this next picture, got picture number 6, is what I did day before yesterday. I got me some chicken wire, and I made me a little cylinder. Let's see if we get picture number 6. Yeah, I made a little cylinder, and I put it around my kale. It still looks pretty, but the squirrels can't get to it.
Some undetermined squirrels.
Yes. And yes, I did spray paint it kind of a light blue because, silver is a color, but I didn't want that stark chicken wire looking in my little garden. So I spray painted a nice little color that complements everything. But anyway, I made a little cylinder and cut a little round bit, wired it on the top. So it's like a top hat over my kale. Keep the squirrel. I hope it'll keep the squirrels out. But anyway, good luck on that. And if you can find the kale, if the garden centers don't have kale, ask them to get some for you. Let's slide across the state line to Mandeville, Louisiana. Peg, how you doing this morning?
All right, Felder, and I was just listening, of course. What do squirrels not eat?
Oddly enough, they won't eat daffodils. Daffodils are poison.
That's what I need.
and if you're careful, you're down in Louisiana. Not all daffodils will come back year after year. You can plant them, and they'll do great one year. But if you want some that come back year after year after year, there's only a couple of, maybe 3 dozen of all the hundreds you can get that'll come back every year. And one that comes to mind, the old-fashioned paper whites, real fragrant paper whites, and the little sweet yellow fragrant one called jonquil. It's got a little skinny leaf like a quill. Jonquils and paper whites will do perfectly well in Mandeville and come back year after year after year. Squirrels won't bother them, but they'll get just about everything. You can put chicken wire down on top of the ground, and the plants can grow up through it. That'll keep the squirrels from digging, but they'll pull some of it up anyway.
Well, that wasn't my question, but when I heard you say that, I think everything in my yard they like to chew on.
Yeah, and they don't chew; they just pull it up. And I'm thinking, come on, guys, come on, go find an acre, leave my yard alone.
I know. My question is about the split leaf philodendron that I brought in because we were supposed to have a freeze. I don't think it got to 32 here, but I got to have my husband haul in. It's like 5 foot in all directions.
Bless his
beautiful
heart.
Plant in a pot.
Bless his heart.
Outside. So he's great. He better never get old. So my question is, he brings it in and out, and is it a problem for the plant because it's the most beautiful indoor plant I've ever had, and now it's summer again. Should I put it back out?
Well, here's the thing. In Mandeville, it's really not iffy. If you have a protected place in your garden, in Louisiana, I'm not talking about up towards the, Alexandria and all like that. But
Right.
as far as the philodendron can make it through even a pretty cold winter if it's in a protected place. I mean, I see them up and down the Gulf Coast. So if you want to try putting it in the ground, and then every now and then just get you a smaller one for the pot, to bring in and out. But anyway, it doesn't hurt the plant. They have a real slick leaf. They don't react quickly to changes. Hibiscus, they'll drop their leaves, if you just turn them around, but it's not that big a problem. And you can also cut some of those big leaves off. Keep in mind that split-leaf philodendron, believe it or not, is a vine. It's a real slow-growing, thick vine. And you get down in the tropics, and it's up in trees and everything with those brown roots that run across the top of the ground. Those are made to wrap around things. See, so you can prune it if you want to.
Right. So I can cut those off. I don't know, is it a good time of year to try to split the pot? I don't want to do it. It's so pretty.
Well, tropical plants don't have seasons. As long as it doesn't stay cold, as long as it's growing okay, you can do pretty much anything you want with tropical plants just about any time of the year.
But my elephant ears always die back and come back.
Yeah, whole different plant.
Yeah. So, but is that what would happen to them? I mean, if I put them in the ground.
It's going to be a little. Even if it dies to the ground, it should come back fine. That close to the coast.
Yeah, because I've noticed gingers that I have that die back. Sometimes they're still struggling from last year in the summer, and they're not big and full anymore.
Well, you can also get you some rebar or something like that, and just make you a little tent, just to literally throw some plastic on it just during the freezing weather, and trust me on this. This will keep your husband from getting old. Dragging in and out is going to turn him to an old man like me with shoulder problems. I was raised hauling my mother's big plants in and out, and it turned me to an old man with shoulder problems. So help him out here.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Felder.
Okay, Peg, appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, and we've had a guy hanging on for a long time before we go to our little cheesy music, which, by the way, is a takeoff on the Mr. Rogers thing, Won't You Be My Neighbor, a little jazzy version. Let's go to Jim in Jackson. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Good morning, Felder. Jim Rosenblatt here, and I've got a new word for you and your friend that comes out of the frost. A linguistic term.
Okay.
My banana trees were not killed by the frost, but they are drooping a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the word is that I've heard used, they've been tetched.
T-E-T-C-H.
T-E-E-C-H-E-D.
I've heard that, but I did not know what it meant. Tetched. Is it like being tetched in the head?
That's just a little bit.
I appreciate that. By the way, I saw you at the folk festival, the American Folk Festival downtown Jackson last weekend, and you might have actually seen me doing a little two-step into a cowboy band.
You're quite the dancer, and that was a great band.
It was a good band. You don't always have yodeling cowboys from Montana in Jackson, Mississippi, but they were yodeling up a storm. Anyway, it's a good festival.
My question, though, is I've never seen an acorn crop as heavy as the one this year. Does that portend anything? Is that a sign of anything?
Not really. A lot of people say it does, but what happens is in the springtime, oak trees like pecans are wind pollinated. They have dusty pollen from the male, the little catkins, and if it rains a lot in April when they're blooming, a lot of the pollen gets washed away, and we usually have a really rainy spring. So I think we just had a good fall. So the plants had good flowering ability. In the spring, when they were blooming, we had good weather, and so more of the pollen blew away without getting washed away. But every now and then we have what they call a good mast crop. I don't know why they call it a mast, M-A-S-T crop, but the squirrels and the deer love them.
Right. I think the deer like acorns almost as much as they like persimmons.
Yeah. The only problem I have with acorns, Java, you can appreciate this, I've got a tin roof on my cabin, and my neighbor's pecan tree, all night long. It'll make you jump sometimes. Anyway, Jim, we appreciate your call. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Felder.
All righty. So we've covered a little bit of ground here.
So, Felder, you was out there dancing to Wiley in the Wild West.
Java. I mean this gently, but you don't get any whiter than yodeling music. And my ancestors are from Switzerland. You know, he was singing my tunes.
There you go.
And I just had to get up and dance. You know, can I have a yeehaw here? Anyway, it was great, and I really enjoyed it. MPB had a big, strong presence down there.
Yeah, the folk festival was a great time.
I saw people walking around with the little fans, MPB fans and all. It was. I saw people walking around with MPB yard signs too.
Yeah, they took them home and put them in the front yard. We see them when we drive around.
Well, I love it. We got some stuff to talk about, folks. I've got an ornamental garden, /ornamental/edible I want to talk about, but we'll be back with more right after this.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is a brand new companion podcast to the MPB documentary Everlasting, the life and legacy of Medgar Evers. Join me, Rita Brent, as we dive deeper into the story with exclusive interviews and conversations about the enduring legacy of Medgar Evers. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, available on the MPB app or wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes every other week. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back, horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and let's go straight to the phones because Tipsy has been hanging on for Raymond, which is a cool little town. Tipsy, y'all have turned that town into it's like right out of small town America.
Oh, it's a great place to live.
So what you got going? And the murals downtown. You know, you got a square instead of around the courthouse. It's around an old-fashioned water tower. I think it's such a cool place. Anyway, what you got going on?
Well, my husband assembled a greenhouse kit, and he built a little bowstone wall to put the greenhouse on top of it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm at the point now where I need to put something like some kind of flooring in there, and I'm not sure if I can just use something like washed gravel as the floor inside it, or what do you suggest I do?
Well, before I make a suggestion, let me say I think washed gravel is a mistake. A lot of people do it, but it crunches, it's noisy, it moves under your feet, it's not stable, it mashes into the ground, and weeds grow in it. So how big is this greenhouse? How big is it?
It's about 10 by 12.
Yeah, I would just go ahead and bite the bullet and get some of these square flagstones like from a big box store. Put them down, or at least make you a nice path to stand on. You can have the washed gravel under your benches and stuff, but where you're going to be standing, I'd go ahead and put some of these, 2 foot or 3 foot, whatever size, pavers in there. It's a whole lot stabler, and you're less likely to slip on it. But at least where you stand.
Okay, that's what I need to do now. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. It's not that cheap either, but it's safe. It's just a whole lot better. And if you want to use a washed gravel or something like that under your benches, I think that'd be fine. But you end up with a bunch of weeds in it no matter what you do. So anyway, that's what I would do.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, Tipsy, appreciate it. All right, let's slide over to Baton Rouge. Patrick, what's going on in Red Stick, Louisiana?
Oh, not too much. Glad to talk to you and Java. Being a long-time listener. Enjoy it. Take your advice.
We appreciate it.
Got great results, always.
We appreciate it.
My question is, pansies and petunias down here, when is the best time to plant them?
Well, pansies, petunias can make it over the summer, sorta. These are native to the high in the Andes. They like cool weather. They don't like hard freezes, but you don't get that many hard freezes in Baton Rouge. I'm talking about below 20. So petunias will actually do better in the fall and the spring, and a little bit over the winter, better than they do over the summer. There's some heat tolerant petunias like the wave petunias, but in general, I think of them as fall and spring, and sort of limping along through the wintertime. Pansies. I'm talking about petunias. Pansies need cold weather. They can freeze solid and do fine, just like the little violas, which are smaller ones. But they do great in the winter.
Okay. And your recommendation for an arbor vine? I have a little small arbor. Something that may flower twice a year, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, well, think about having two different kind of vines on it. We've got a whole bunch of vines that bloom in the summer. They come back every year from seed, like moonflower or morning glory. The one vine I would recommend against, and I'm probably the only person to ever say this ever, is I would not recommend a Peggy Martin rose. And Peggy Martin's from Louisiana. I love Peggy. I've got her rose in my garden. It's a terrific rose, but it is a monster. It will crush your house. So Peggy Martin is the one climber rose I would not recommend. There's a climbing rose called a Vilchenblau. It's called the blue rose. But also, we have a native vine that's called Carl honeysuckle. It's a native hummingbird vine. It grows really well. It's tidy. You can prune it real easy. It doesn't have thorns. But Carl honeysuckle is a good tidy vine for your spring. And then I would think about on the other side of the arbor, every spring plant any of these vines that grow from seed. You could even plant gourds if you wanted to. But on one side, the tidiest vine I can think of for a small arbor would be the native Carl honeysuckle, and then any kind of annual vine on the other side.
Okay. I hate to take up the time, but Chinese fringe tree. I had planted one last year. It didn't really do. It's just sitting there. It's not. Sometimes the leaves look like it looks like to me like they're dying, but it's. And a month ago I had a bloom.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, Chinese fringe, and folks who may not be familiar with this, fringe is another name for what we call Grancy graybeard. We have the native Grancy graybeard. It's also called the American fringe tree. And it's a great plant. But the Chinese fringe tree is smaller. It has clusters of smaller white flowers in the spring right before the leaves come out. So Chinese fringe does well, but it's going to take a little while to get established. If you didn't dig a wide hole and loosen up the roots, it's going to sit there until it gets a good root system going. Then it's going to jump.
Oh, okay.
And by the way,
I follow your directions about the hole, and I've had great success with planting trees. But just this one is not, complying yet. But like you said, it may take a while for that root system.
They say the first year they sleep, second year they creep, third year they leap. So anyway, the main thing is do not overwater it. Don't overwater it, and it's normal for them to have kind of a yellow. The ones in my neighborhood right now have got kind of a golden yellow fall color, so that's normal.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so very much.
You bet. Heck yeah. And John, before we go to this next call, let me show something I brought in here. Is my ornamental garden. Yeah. My ornamental garden. This is a pot, and I don't know if you can see, but it was my grandmother's old cooking. Her washing up bucket she put in her sink.
Her basin.
Yeah, it's it's that white metal. It's got a red rim on it, but it had a hole in the bottom, so she threw it away. I'm thinking, Granny, that's drainage. Anyway, I've got burgundy mustard. I've got 3 kinds of lettuce in here. And it's just a pretty little thing that sits out all the time. And I got me some sticks off a neighbor's crepe myrtle tree, and I spray painted them. I put them in here just 'cause it's pretty.
But you spray painted them green.
Sure, why not? It's just it's color, But anyway, because I needed something spiky, So for this, but look at this. I found some tiny little blue bottles. Look at there.
Now I don't even understand where you can find tiny blue bottles.
They're about the size of. They're not even as big as my thumb. But anyway, it's just called accessorizing. I think it was who was it in Steel Magnolias who said the only thing that separates us from animals is the ability to accessorize. I can't remember her name. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can picture it. Yeah.
I got a little small shallow pot with some potting soil. I got different kinds of lettuce. I've got 2 kinds of burgundy mustard in it and some painted sticks on it. And this will stay outside all winter. If it's a hard freeze, I'll bring it in. But I can eat off of this, Java. I can snip off leaves and cook them. New leaves come on. It's called ornamental and edible.
Gotta love it.
That's right. Okay. Oh, and I do have a picture real quick before we go to this called picture number 4. Is I actually made 3 of these buckets. One is a colander, an old-fashioned colander with the holes in it, and I've got it full of oregano. I've got basil. I've got rosemary. I've got variegated sage. I've got parsley in it, all in an old colander, and they will stay out all winter long.
Now, why didn't you bring all 3 in?
Because I only
got 2 hands.
I barely made it on time just carrying 2 things, Java. But anyway, the 4 small recycled containers outside with edible, cool seasoned vegetables on a patio when everybody else just got nothing. You can have this, and kids can do this too. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to what we do here, and that's yak with people about gardening. We're going to go down to Mobile, Alabama. Greg, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. My question is about some satsumas that got frozen during the snow of the coast this past year over Martin Luther King weekend.
Yep.
And the satsumas, of course, looked horrible, and the tree died. And over the last couple of months, we've had where they're hybridized or whatever, where they're put together, the green coming up with the spikes.
Yeah.
In 2 of the 3 coming out. Is the tree going to come back, or if that is making an appearance and it's a couple of feet tall, or is it just no good at this point? And I did trim back like the dead wood and stuff. I talked to my stepfather who's
the hybridized. I'm sure you meant grafted, where they take a root, a really good sturdy root plant and they put a different kind on top. If it died down to the graft, stuff that's growing below the graft, that's going to be a root stock, and it's going to be either a really tall, thorny green plant with small, sour, seedy fruits, or it's going to be a real twisty-looking one. But they're both different variations of trifoliate orange. And I love it. I have one in the middle of my garden. It's a beautiful specimen plant. I enjoy it. I love it. Good fall colors, pretty white flowers, but it doesn't have anything you can eat. So if it's coming up below the graft, it's not going to be the satsuma you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh,
that's what we were wondering.
Okay, let me throw this out. Satsumas can survive in Mobile. So, if you want to plant another one, just dig a wide hole, loosen up the roots, and try not to keep it too wet. And if you'll prune it into like a big bush rather than a small tree, it's more likely to survive because and do better. So think about it as a small, a big bush rather than a small tree. If you keep it pruned, you can grow satsumas in Mobile.
Oh, yeah, we get them all the time. There are orchards all around. And, my father-in-law had great luck and got thousands of them, a season in just a couple of trees.
How did his do? Does his freeze too?
No, I have not seen whether the graft is coming up or not. No, they did awful, and of course, they died.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a gamble. Even in Florida, they gamble with citrus, but it's a pretty good gamble along the Gulf Coast. It'll protect. But again, when you plant one in the ground, cut it off about thigh high to make it bush out instead of being a tree. Keep it as a good-sized bush, thinned out, kind of small. It looks better, and it's more likely to
fertilizer and stuff.
Yeah, not a lot of fertilizer. Just the main thing is prune it to keep it as a kind of an open bush. It's like if you're holding a ball up in your hand with the ball up towards the sky, you get your fingers around the ball, pull the ball out, and your fingers all spread out. That's what you want the tree to look like. A whole lot better than letting it grow up like a tree.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Okay, Greg. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Java, I also brought in a couple of chrysanthemums. A lot of people grow the old Clara Curtis pink chrysanthemums, but I got a couple of different ones. One is kind of a orangey, peachy color. One is red but anyway, there's a lot of really good chrysanthemums out there that a lot of people don't grow because they don't look good in a pot. They go to a garden center. Garden centers don't sell them because nobody buys them because they don't look good in a pot. But there's just some wonderful garden chrysanthemums that give as much color in the fall as daffodils do in the spring. And get this, I plant daffodils with these. So I have daffodils in the winter and the spring. They die down. They got chrysanthemums in the fall.
And I hope everybody listens because that's a pro tip. It's always like, how can I keep color and, have things in the fall?
Yep. I also have a little garden saint. I'm not Catholic, but I have a saint of Saint Fiacre. Have you heard of him before? F-I-A-C-R-E. Fiacre is the official patron saint of gardeners. Looks like a regular saint, a guy with a hood and beard and all that. But instead of a bird on his hand, he's got a sheath of flower over his hand and a shovel in the other hand. Official patron saint of gardening. And when my daffodils are blooming, St. Fiacre looks better. When the mums are blooming, St. Fiacre looks better. When they're not blooming, St. Fiacre still looks good. little accessory there.
Real quick, Felder, we got a question from the YouTube. This is Breeze. I planted a few sassafras trees in February, but they didn't make it. Any chance they could come back from rhizomes next spring?
It's possible. If they did come back this year, it's possible. Not like that. Anytime you plant, and this is the tip from an old pro, I would never plant a tree taller than me. A small tree will get established and survive and do better and outgrow a bigger tree. So if you want to try again, go with the small one. And it has a lot better surviving.
And last question from William, just snuck it in the live stream. How do I propagate Clara Curtis mums?
They root like ringing a bell. Little cuttings root, but also you can divide it like monkey grass. When it dies down this fall, just take a shovel, split it into 2 or 3 pieces, and replant them. And next summer, I always prune mine. I snip them back to make them bushier, and every one of those cuttings root.
I guess we did it this time.
We did it. All right, we made it through.
We really did.
I had such a good time last weekend at the American Folk Festival. MPB going to be big presence there next year too.
We're locked in for 3 years. Also, you can look for rebroadcasts of some of the performances that we played on MPB Think Radio and some of the recordings of the broadcasts that we did for MPB TV. That's all going to be rolled out kind of next year as we are preparing for the National Folk Festival for 2026 and 2027.
All right. Well, folks, if you get a chance, this is a good time to plant stuff for winter. We have some good plants that grow in pots in the winter. Take a kid with you. Show them how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Me and Java and John C. and Abram and all the other folks here at MPB, we thank you for joining us. Spread the word about the YouTube and take a look at some of this elemental garden I've been showing. Anyway, y'all have a good week. See you next week.